There are so many failures from Shark Tank. Number 1, Toygaro. Toygaro, a subscription service like Netflix for toys, failed for two main reasons, according to its founder Phil Smyth. First, they struggled to get toys at affordable prices, and they had hoped their investors Mark Cuban and Kevin O'Leary, who invested $250,000, would help with connections, but received no assistance. Second, they faced high shipping costs due to the varying sizes of the toys, and this was a major problem because they offered free shipping. They wanted to fix this issue, but their investors disagreed. The company received a rush of interest after appearing on Shark Tank, which caused problems because the business relied on having enough stock. Phil believed that growing slowly would have allowed them to resolve this issue. In the end, Toygaro serves as an example of how appearing on Shark Tank can be a double-edged sword. While it offers free publicity, it can come at the wrong time, and disagreements and investors can harm the business. Number 2, Sweet Balls. Sweet Balls, a company making cake balls, appeared on Shark Tank and received a $250,000 investment from Mark Cuban and Barbara Corcoran. However, the company faced a major problem. The founders, James McDonald and Cole Egger, got into a legal dispute after the show. McDonald believed that Egger was secretly developing a competing product called cake balls. They even had a restraining order issued. This conflict damaged Sweet Balls' chance to capitalize on the Shark Tank exposure. The company's website went offline and the domain was briefly redirected to Cake Balls' website. After the lawsuit was settled, James McDonald regained control of Sweet Balls. However, due to the missed opportunity and the demise of Cake Balls, Sweet Balls struggled. McDonald now runs it as a side business, making it one of the unfortunate Shark Tank failures. Number 3, You Smell Soap. You Smell Soap, a luxury soap company, appeared on Shark Tank and had a handshake deal with Robert Herjavec. He offered $55,000 for a 30% stake in the company and even a $50,000 salary. However, for 6 months, the founder Megan Cummins couldn't reach Robert, and when he finally responded, he changed his offer to a $50,000 for a 50% stake, which Megan rejected. The problem here was the long delay and lack of communication. It's common for sharks to change their offers after doing more research, but waiting for 6 months with little contact can be damaging for a new business trying to keep up with increased demand after being on TV. Megan continued to run the company with another investor, but eventually that investor bought the whole company. Unfortunately, not long after the purchase, You Smell Soap had to close down. It's a question of whether things might have been different if Robert had acted more promptly. Despite the challenges, the luxury soap company still deserves respect, even though it ended up being one of the many Shark Tank failures. Number 4, Breathometer. Breathometer was a device that worked with a smartphone app to measure blood alcohol levels. It was essentially a portable breathalyzer. The founder, Charles Michael Yim, pitched Breathometer on Shark Tank in Season 5, Episode 2, and remarkably, all 5 sharks invested $1 million for a 30% stake in the business. However, problems arose after the deal. They struggled to meet the high demand for their product, and it turned out that the device didn't provide accurate readings. In some cases, it reported blood alcohol levels much lower than they actually were, which could potentially encourage people to drive under the influence. The Federal Trade Commission intervened, ordering Breathometer to refund all its customers and take the product off the market. Mark Cuban, one of the sharks, called it one of the worst executions in Shark Tank history and blamed the founder for mishandling the capital. Despite a significant setback, the company continued to operate, although it's unclear if the original sharks remained involved. They pivoted and started promoting a new product called Mint, which is designed to measure biomarkers related to bad health and gum disease. The company also entered into a partnership with Philips in the field of oral hygiene. Number 5, Hycon. Hycon was a company that developed fast and easy fire hose connectors for fire hydrant connections. Jeff Stroop was the founder, and he presented his product on Shark Tank during Season 2, Episode 8. During the show, Mark Cuban offered to invest $1.25 million and take 100% equity in exchange for 7% royalties. However, the deal fell apart because Mark Cuban wanted to change the terms. He intended to license the product to other companies to quickly bring it to the market, lower costs, and increase profits. This meant Jeff Stroop would lose his ownership in the company. Jeff decided not to accept the new terms, and the deal with Mark Cuban fell through. While he obtained a patent for his product, it never went into production. Eventually, Hycon had to shut down. The failure can be attributed to the lack of funding and business experience on Jeff Stroop's part. On the other hand, here are some of the biggest missed opportunities by the sharks. Number 6, Doorbot. Doorbot, which is now known as Ring, was a smart doorbell product presented on Shark Tank by its founder, Jamie Siminoff, during Season 5, Episode 9. He asked for $700,000 in exchange for 10% equity and stake in his company. Kevin O'Leary made an offer, but it came with a condition that he wanted 5% equity and 10% royalties on the company's sales, which would reduce to 7% after he got back his $700,000 investment. Siminoff rejected this offer because he intended to expand the product and the royalty would drain the company of money when it needed it the most. Ultimately, Siminoff made the right decision. After the Shark Tank episode aired, Doorbot, or Ring, generated $5 million in sales and went on to raise over $200 million in capital. This allowed the company to grow and eventually strike a deal with Amazon. In the end, O'Leary's demand for royalties would have cost him at least $120 million in lost opportunities. Number 7. Zero Shoes. Zero Shoes is a company that makes minimalist sandals in Waracha style, known for their simplicity and comfort. The founders are Steven Sashen and Lena Phoenix. When Zero Shoes appeared on Shark Tank in Season 4, Episode 14, they were seeking a $40,000 investment in exchange for 8% of the company. At that time, they'd already made $650,000 in sales over 2 years and were on track to reach $1.2 million in sales for the year. Although some of the sharks were concerned about the product being too simple and easy to copy, Mr. Wonderful, or Kevin O'Leary, offered to invest $400,000 for 50% of the company. The founders, Sashen and Phoenix, didn't want to give up so much ownership, so they declined the offer. Despite turning down the deal, Zero Shoes gained a lot of attention from customers and private equity investors after their appearance on Shark Tank. The company has since become very successful, even sponsoring the US synchronized swim and archery teams during the 2021 Summer Olympics in Tokyo. As of 2022, Zero Shoes has an annual revenue of $23 million and has expanded its product line beyond just sandals. So there you have it, some of the most notable failures from the Shark Tank show. It's clear that the deal with the sharks does not always guarantee success, and some entrepreneurs have thrived outside the tank. What do you think of these deals? Are there any other Shark Tank deals that you'd like to learn more about? Share your thoughts in the comments below, hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video.